Hi, it's Amy from Click Roll Boom, and today I'll be talking to Coco, frontwoman of Nashville pop punkers Winona Ryder. So, who are Winona Ryder? How did the band come together?
I started the band in about 2016, and I actually had met Dan, our guitarist, we answered a Craigslist ad for a different band where I was going to play drums and he was going to play guitar, and him and I just hit it off immediately, more so than with the other members. So I poached him. I was like, "Hey, do you want to come work on this project I'm doing?" And I think the whole mission for us was there wasn't really much of a punk or rock scene in Nashville at the time, and we were like, well, we'll just do it ourselves. And so we, for years, playing honky tonks and DIY touring, and then in about 2017, I had met Austin in Los Angeles, and we started writing together consistently, and eventually we both ended up back in Nashville, and the band was always based in Nashville. And once he was in another project, but once he decided he was done with that, he just kind of showed up to a rehearsal one day and never left. So Winona Ryder is it's a family affair for sure. Dan is my best friend, and Austin is now my husband, and we just make punk music for music lovers.
Yeah, that's nice though, being all kind of friends and being like, there's no, is there any conflict?
No, we, that's one thing. We're really good about communication, and when we're in the studio, we all are under the same mindset of like, okay, the best part wins, so if Dan records a guitar part, but then Austin has an idea that's maybe better fitting for the song, where there's no egos or anything. And it's definitely like the thing I like tell all bands is like, have one person who is like the leader. It doesn't work when you all try to lead.
Yeah. Are you the leader?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're all equal, but like it's my whatever.
Yeah,
business.
The boys do what you tell them.
Yeah.
So, and where did the name come from?
I got to give Austin credit for that. For a long time, we were going just by my nickname, which is Coco, and we always wanted a different band name. And then we were about to release our debut EP, and we were like, okay, now's the time. We got to really lock in the name that we want, and lots of back and forth. And then Austin got stoned one night, and he was like, has anyone done anything with like Winona Ryder? Because there's like Bill Murray and Michael Cera Palin, and at first I was like, oh no, I don't think I like that. And then the next day I like was writing it down on paper. I like put it on a couple like t-shirt designs, and I was like, actually, I think that's a perfect name. It's funny, but it's like a perfect mixture of like, I think, femininity and masculinity as well.
Yes, brilliant. How would you describe your sound, and who have been your biggest influences?
Oh, I would say a lot of people say we're not pop punk, we're punk pop. I think a good example would be like The Offspring. Like, they're very melodic punk. H2O is another great punk band that's very, I think, more melody forward. But we all come from different, backgrounds. Dan, very like 70s, 80s rock.
Okay.
Me, very 90s grunge punk. Austin, 90s, early 2000s, like radio alternative. So yeah, I would say, The Offspring is a great example. And yeah, that's like the biggest one. I don't know, because we just take from so many different like pots.
Yeah, your sound is punk, but it's very accessible punk.
Yes.
It's a sort of punk that someone who doesn't like punk could get on board with, I think.
Exactly. And that's I mean, our mission statement is like making punk music accessible to all music lovers. So whether if you are a Sabrina Carpenter fan, maybe you would like our stuff because it has those melodies. Or if you're just a straight up fucking Gorilla Biscuits person, you know, you'll get the punk energy.
I think for a female, it's got that bite. It's got that kind of almost feminist bite, which is what really struck me when I was listening to it. It's like, yeah, I can relate to this. She's singing a lot of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the nice thing about us, I love Riot Girl stuff, but you know, I think I take like a just like a more accessible, like the everyday woman's approach to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's not I don't get from it I hate all men, but I get I'm a girl and I'm standing up for the girls.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we released a song and all the comments were, oh, typical female singing about how she hates all men. And I was like, I'm in a band of all men.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I don't get that from your music at all. I get it as empowering for women, but not a dig at men.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what's your songwriting process look like?
It's different every time. It's usually me and Austin are the two consistents. You know, the big question we always ask when going into a write is like, how does this fit into our live show? Because that's the biggest like component to us is playing live. So we're like, how are the fans going to listen to this? And then we think about, you know, what are we missing or what do we want or what's like the vibe? And sometimes it can start with drums. And then other times it can start with a riff from Austin, or I'll come in with like a melody idea. I mean, I think the great thing about us is we don't have one, like, it has to be done this way or else the song's not getting done.
Does it ever start with the words?
Yeah. I have like a little notebook where I'll kind of jot down ideas that come to me.
So tell me about your debut album, Apologies to the Chef. Are there any themes or stories running through it?
I would say the biggest theme is just like the human experience. Every song on the record is a different story and 100% true thing that I've experienced. So I would say just overall, it's like living for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
I think anyone to it can pick out a song on the record and be like, oh, that could be about me.
Yeah.
And I just say, yeah, it's an ode to the human experience and it's a love letter to the punk rock genre. We have straight up punk songs on it. We have more like Attention's very just rock. And then we have things from pop punk leaning to, you know, that punk rock realm. So it's definitely a love letter to the genre.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
So some of the songs that were on the album were released a lot earlier on EPs. Were they always going to form part of an album at some point, or has the album been sort of something that's come as later and you just wanted to include those because they're favorites?
Yeah, the album came later. We included them because they're fan favorites and personal favorites. And, you know, I mean, 20% of listeners are going to be people who are fans already. And then the majority is going to be people listening to us for the first time. So we picked our favorite bodies of work from the past 2 years and put them on this record. Because we want to give every song that we love like a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And we went back and we re-recorded the drums and we remixed it, remastered. So there are songs off of the EP on the record, but we've spruced them up a little bit.
Okay. So the album's coming out on Ruby Black Smush and White Vinyl. Did you choose those variants? And if so, why did you choose them?
I did. One big reason is I like how they looked with the album cover. Yeah, I'm a very visual person. I'm a visual learner. So it's similar to how like some of the song titles are like in all capitals. It's how I like hear them. Like I'm like, oh, attention, that's all capitals. It's very bizarre, and so I liked how like the white opaque looked with the record, and I loved the Ruby Smash, and I loved how it again had that kind of a little bit feminine, but a little bit like hardcore.
That's gorgeous. I've got that on pre-order.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. So what have been your biggest and favorite live shows to date?
Oh, our biggest one, we opened for The Offspring.
Oh, wow.
And that was 20,000 people. We had a week's notice, and we had to get to Salt Lake City, Utah. That was the biggest one. But I would say like the kind of like not maybe biggest audience-wise, would be but like big for us. You know, we did Bonnaroo and Shaky Knees, and we've been very fortunate to do a lot of these kind of mainstream festivals, which is pretty unheard of for alternative bands. I mean, you know, they usually get stuck on the nostalgic festival circuit, whereas we are like so blessed to like have these opportunities to be on these insane mainstream festivals. So I would say shows like that have definitely been the biggest and shocking. I mean, like you do sound line check and there's 10 people there, and then you're like, okay. And then you go back out, and then there's like a sea of 5, like Riot Fest was probably like our our Chapel Roan moment, where it's like, there is a fucking sea of people out there. It was crazy.
So in the mainstream festivals, do you get a good reception? So where maybe your sound doesn't fit with what people have gone to see, do you still get a good reception?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. It's not good for my mental health, but I will stalk Reddit after we play a festival, and the reception's awesome. You know, and just people being like, not what I expected, but like was happy I like watched. And yeah.
Have you got any plans to tour the UK when after the albums come out?
Yeah, we'll be over there in May. We are doing Slam Dunk. And then we have 3 other shows that we haven't announced, but all in the UK in May.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What's been the weirdest or most unexpected moment you've experienced as a band?
Ooh. Weirdest, most I would honestly, all of this. Like, we've grinded for so long, and we chose to take the stairs. You know, we chose not to try to go like the viral route or anything like that. We wanted to build an organic fan base through playing shows, and now that we've like arrived, it's all been completely bizarre. And I mean, again, just so like fortunate and grateful, and there's a lot of hard work to come, but this whole, I think, like period of our career, with the debut album, with playing these giant festivals, selling tickets to our headline tour, it's like all weird.
Is this the first like big band experience you've had, or have you been in bands for years?
I have been like trying to do this at a professional level since I was like a kid. I started as a drummer, and I was in one band. I was 15, 16, and they were all in their 20s, and they like, that was the first time where I was like, oh, like this could maybe be a career. Because they had like gotten offered a record deal and stuff, and then just not a good person running the band, and I was young, so I was like, okay, I can't do this. This is the first time where it's like, holy shit, like this is working.
Yeah. I think it has to feel right. If you were in the other band and it didn't feel right, then it wasn't going to be right long term, and you weren't going to have the right vibe in your music. Yeah.
And I, this was the first project I was in after like leaving that.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to do this for 8-9 years, and so it's very rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. So was it hard to be a pop punk or a punk band coming out of a state that isn't known for that genre? Has that held you back?
It hasn't held us back. We were definitely uncomfortable for a very long time. Like I said, we were playing honky tonks, playing like all country bills, and traveling to cities where there could be a punk scene, like, okay, I got $100 in my pocket, let's go on tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't let it hold us back. There were things that definitely like no one wanted to work with a punk band, no one wanted to do this or that, no one wanted to book a punk band. So those were things that like could have held us back, but we definitely just kind of like pushed through it all and found ways around it.
Yeah. Is there a country album coming next?
No. Going back to the second to last question you asked, Austin was in like a band. It was like an industry plant country band. So he's gotten like a taste of what it's like to, and he's been in this business a while. Like he used to play bass for like Sabrina Carpenter and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But for Dan and I, this is all new. We're like, whoa. But his band he was in was a country band, and he would probably like keel over and die before we ever even thought about doing a country album.
What does the future of Winona Ryder, a fighter, look like? I knew I was going to do that.
We just hope that, this album does well enough to where we can do another one very soon. And we just hope that we can continue touring like we are and playing festivals like we are, and, being the truly authentic, honest band that we are. So
have you got album 2 started, or are you planning on having a break before you start writing for that?
Me and Austin are always writing, so it's there will be a time where it's like, okay, we really got to like start thinking, but we're always like working that muscle, and it's very healthy for us. We gotta write, or else I think we'll go insane.
And lastly, give yourselves a shameless plug.
Yeah. My name is Coco. I'm the front woman of Winona Ryder. You can follow us on all platforms at Winona Ryder. Our debut LP, My Apologies to the Chef, comes out February 14th. We're going on tour throughout the US in February and March, and then we are coming over to the UK in May, so keep an eye out for that.
Brilliant. That's been lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good one. Bye.